In the shadows of forgotten cemeteries and the cracks between dimensions, fate began to weave an unlikely thread, one that would bind a cursed revenant to an immortal son of Olympus. Solomon Grundy was never meant to walk the earth more than once. Once a man named Cyrus Gold, a greedy and heartless financier in Gotham's grimy past. His death in the murky swamps was supposed to be final, but fate had other plans. He rose again, undead, cursed to be reborn every time he was killed. Each rebirth came with a different temperament, sometimes simple-minded and childlike, sometimes monstrously violent. His power grew each time. His strength became the stuff of legend. The swamp kept feeding him, infusing him with an unnatural resilience that even Superman has found difficult to break. His name came from a nursery rhyme whispered by fearful children: Solomon Grundy. Born on a Monday, and he came to embody that eerie cadence, deathless, emotionless, unstoppable. But with each rebirth, Grundy became less human and more elemental, his soul fraying like worn fabric. By his 10th resurrection, he no longer sought revenge or peace. He only wandered, driven by a hollow yearning to understand what he once was, or perhaps to finally die. That desire brought him to a rift in the fabric of worlds, a sea tear near Slaughter Swamp that shimmered with Olympian magic, bleeding golden light into the night. Meanwhile, in the realm of Olympus, Hercules, son of Zeus and the greatest of the Greek demigods, had grown restless. Millennia had passed since his 12 labors, and though he had found glory, love, and even redemption, a warrior such as he could never truly sleep. Olympus had entered a time of slumber, its gods growing distant from mortals. Yet Hercules remained active, roaming Earth from time to time in secret, sometimes offering strength to heroes, other times drinking among mortals who never realized who he truly was. But one thing had always troubled the Lion of Olympus: immortality without purpose. His father Zeus had once told him, "A god who does not fight is not a god. He is a ghost of his own legend." When Hermes brought word of a disturbance near the swamp in America, a dark being rising and touching the edges of Olympus's domain, Hercules saw it not just as a mission, but as an omen. Perhaps this creature, this Grundy, held the challenge he'd long been craving. Perhaps at long last, he would meet an opponent who could withstand the fury of a demigod. What Hercules did not know was that Grundy's presence near the rift was no accident. The energies bleeding from Olympus were affecting Grundy's soul, making him remember slivers of his past life, names, faces, a woman crying, a hand grasping gold, and a thunderous voice shouting judgment. In his mangled mind, Grundy thought he was being summoned by Olympus. In his childlike rage, he believed the gods had cursed him and now dared to reach out again. If Olympus wanted him, he would go to them, crush their shining towers, and tear answers from their golden mouths. So he walked into the rift. On the other side, Hercules was waiting atop a crag in the realm of Epirus, where the veil between dimensions had grown thin. He saw Grundy emerge, hulking, ash-skinned, clad in tattered funeral clothes. The air around the revenant seemed to groan, trees blackened. Birds fell silent, the two locked eyes. Hercules, ever prideful, stepped forward. "You tread on sacred ground, monster," he said, his voice like a drum roll in the sky. "Tell me your name so I can etch it into the legend of your defeat." Grundy's lip curled. His voice was gravel and sorrow. "Solomon Grundy. Born on a Monday, died on a Tuesday." The moment Grundy finished reciting, the ground shook. His eyes blazed with fury. He lunged, not with the speed of a trained warrior, but the raw, unfiltered hatred of a cursed soul who had been denied rest 100 times. Hercules caught the attack mid-swing, feet digging into the marble floor of the ancient platform. A shockwave burst outward, blowing centuries-old columns into dust. The clash had begun, but this was no ordinary fight. Olympus trembled. The gods stirred. A creature from the depths of mortal despair had risen to challenge their brightest sun. A being of mud and death had dared to face the embodiment of triumph and glory. Grundy did not fight for honor. Hercules did not fight for wrath. They fought for something deeper, recognition. The champion of Olympus against the cursed revenant. And only one would walk away. A windstorm howled through the peaks of Olympus as the first blow landed. Hercules had caught Grundy's punch, but the sheer force sent the demigod sliding backward across the polished stone, his sandals carving deep grooves in the marble. Grundy didn't pause. With a roar that echoed across mountains, he charged again, fists like tombstones, swinging with unrelenting primal fury. Hercules grinned. This wasn't a battle, it was a gift. He ducked the next blow, driving his shoulder into Grundy's gut, lifting the undead giant off the ground and slamming him into a column. The pillar cracked and crumbled under the impact, golden dust rising into the air like a sacred mist. But Grundy rose again, undaunted, unfeeling. A brutal haymaker slammed into Hercules' jaw, staggering the demigod for the first time in centuries. Hercules tasted blood. Grundy didn't speak. He didn't taunt. He only fought, his every motion filled with wrath soaked in centuries of torment. His hands weren't just weapons, they were graves, ready to pull Hercules down into the earth itself. Hercules responded in kind. He spun, sweeping Grundy's legs out from beneath him and dropping an elbow into the revenant's chest with seismic force. The mountain quaked. Lightning split the sky, reacting to Hercules' rage. He stood, breathing heavily, his muscles bulging with godly power. "Yield," he said, eyes blazing. "You've walked far enough into the realm of gods." But Grundy only growled, rising once more. A glowing green ichor leaked from his mouth. He grabbed a boulder the size of a carriage and hurled it at Hercules like a comet. The demigod smashed it with a single punch, but Grundy was already on him, striking, grappling, pushing the battle into a more brutal realm. They tumbled down the mountainside, crashing through temples, tearing through trees older than civilization. Every step of their battle was a scar on Olympus. Hercules seized Grundy's arm, twisted it, and drove his knee into the revenant's ribs with the weight of his entire legacy. He followed with a barrage of blows, one for every labor, each strike a thunderclap, each blow a reminder of why the name Hercules was written in legend. But Grundy would not fall. He caught Hercules' wrist, head-butted him with a sickening crack, and hoisted the son of Zeus over his shoulder. With a scream that shook the realm, Grundy slammed Hercules into the ground, again and again creating a crater that began to drink in the golden glow of Olympus itself. And in that moment, Hercules saw it. Not just strength, not just rage, but pain. Endless, consuming pain. Solomon Grundy was not alive nor dead. He was stuck in the torment of unfinished life. And he fought not to win, but to be noticed, to be understood. But Hercules was not the god of mercy. He surged upward with renewed fury, his aura flaring bright gold. He delivered a blinding uppercut that lifted Grundy off the ground. Before the revenant could fall, Hercules leapt, catching him midair and driving him through the air, through a mountain and into the sea of time beyond Olympus's edge. The waters exploded in a tidal wave of divine energy. The sky wept fire. Silence. Hercules landed on a nearby rock, battered and panting, his fists shaking. The sea bubbled. Grundy rose. His body was mangled, his limbs broken at wrong angles, but he stood, still breathing, still fighting, still cursed. And for the first time, Hercules felt something he hadn't felt in an eon: fear. This creature couldn't be beaten by power alone. He would rise, again and again, until Olympus fell or until the curse was broken. But Hercules was a son of Zeus, and sons of Zeus do not break. With a roar that split the sky, he called down the wrath of the heavens. Thunder crashed. Lightning engulfed him. He became a golden titan, his strength multiplied by the will of Olympus. He struck Grundy with a blow not just of force, but of will, of legend, of divine defiance. And that finally did it. Grundy's body eventually crumbled into ash, blown apart not just by strength but by meaning. The gods whispered through the wind, "Rest, cursed soul." The swamp-born behemoth was gone. Hercules stood tall, battered, broken, triumphant. He had not just fought a monster, he had fought a curse, and won.